Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I am Lucid Rob, and today I'm going to walk you through the weird, mysterious events of President John F. Kennedy. Let's get into it.
Everything seemed normal as the president's Secret Service bodyguards kept their ever-watchful eyes on the crowd. Everything seemed normal as the president's motorcade began its journey. Everything seemed normal. That is, up until this instant. What took place is so odd that we're going to examine the scene 4 more times. Watch the left side of your screen. The arrow points to Agent in Charge, Emory Roberts, as he stands in the Secret Service follow-up car and motions with his hand. What he is doing is calling away the president's 2 most important bodyguards, the bodyguards whose job was to protect the president's back by riding on the bumper of the limousine throughout the motorcade. Watch again as he stands and orders the agents running at the rear of the president's car away. Watch the confusion inside the follow-up car that results. Now watch the right side of your screen. The arrow points to one of 2 agents whose job was to hop aboard the bumper and act as human shields. He's obviously perplexed. Watch as he shrugs his shoulders 3 times in dismay, each shrug more dramatic than the last. As you watch this scene for the final time, ask yourself, is this the kind of conduct you would expect from an agency that routinely sends an advance team to a city a month or more prior to the president's arrival in order to make preparations? Now ask yourself if the assassination could have taken place at all had those men been on the bumper during the motorcade. This is the rear of the presidential limousine. The back bumper is specially designed with a platform on both the right and left sides. There are also handrails on both sides of the trunk. This is where the agent should have been to provide the president even minimal security. The president, unaware of the treachery behind him and the danger waiting for him ahead, continued on to his death.
Whoa. So I've been watching a lot of videos about this. This is kind of what I do, this whole behind-the-scenes, conspiracy, deeper look sort of thing. I do that on my other channel, Lucid Rob, and I've been doing this for a long time. I have never seen this video. I never knew that those secret agents were instructed to leave the president's side. I feel like that information was highlighted, like back when all of this happened initially, that there would be a lot more people thinking it was as nefarious as we do nowadays. Because at the time, it's just like, oh, the president was assassinated. It's terrible. It's a tragedy. Sure, of course it is. It's a terrible tragedy. But I feel like the JFK assassination conspiracy theorists over the years have kind of got a lot of flack and talked down to and whatnot until, you know, nowadays people are opening up more to the possibility of like, you know what, maybe everything that we're told is not the truth or to our benefit. But you'll have to let me know how you feel about this down in the comments, because I get a lot more to show you.
Do you believe the official storyline of how JFK was killed?
Absolutely not. For starters, have you read the book The Secret Team by Fletcher Prouty? Oh, I would recommend that book to everybody. Fletcher Prouty had high-level access in Department of Defense and CIA tickets, but they forgot to get him to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So when he saw all this and how they played all these things, he came out and he wrote The Secret Team. And in The Secret Team is his witness account of the JFK assassination. And there was a well-known CIA operator from Vietnam up until that point named Edward Lansdale. And there's a photograph of the 3 mysterious men being walked by the sheriff in front of the book depository. And walking by them, as one of them smiled, was Edward Lansdale, well-known CIA operative. And Prouty worked with him. He knew what he looked from behind. He knew about the ring on his finger. And he identified Lansdale as a CIA operative. George Bush made this mysterious phone call that day, claiming that he was in Dallas. Bush, longtime CIA operative, although he tried to deny it. When he was president, CIA in the White House, aka Iran-Contra, and then they promoted him. He was in Dallas, Texas, and phoning in a fake phone call that day. Oswald, without question, had been recruited by the CIA, sent over to Russia to try to be a double agent, and then came back. Was he the only shooter? Absolutely not.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break right here so I can tell you about my new book, Vital Signs, Resurrecting the Dying Parts of Your Potential by Robert Walsh. I've been working hard on this. That's why I haven't released a video in like a month. I've been finishing this up. But it's available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle for $1 today, or just get the paperback or the audiobook. It's all on there. It's a personal development book. Goes into psychology, basically just to help you get over imposter syndrome, self-doubt, comparison paralysis, where you compare yourself to other people and it makes you feel bad. Like lots of stuff I've learned over the years, building businesses, overcoming addiction. It's really cool. So the link is down below. Special link for you guys to get the Kindle edition for 99 cents today if you want, or you can just order the paperback and have your own, great quality Vital Signs paperback. 210 pages. Thanks. Growing up out here, like the term second gunman on the grassy knoll all the time in like movies, they'd reference it, they joke about it, and so on and so forth. I never really knew what that meant or understood that until I got a little older. As we get older and more of this stuff gets released, that there probably was a second and maybe even third gunman. Maybe not on the grassy knoll, but somewhere involved in this whole scheme.
JFK gets unalived, and who becomes president? LBJ. The first thing that this man does after he is sworn in, illegally moved JFK's body to Washington so that Texas cannot conduct their own autopsy. LBJ was in deep legal trouble with the Kennedy family. Not only was JFK looking into it, but so was RFK, and they were exposing his corruption big time. Oh, and a CIA agent, E. Howard Hunt, on his deathbed, confessed to this plot, claiming that in inner circles of the intelligence, it was known as the big event, quote unquote. There was a Lee Harvey Oswald impersonator or a body double that actually went to Mexico City and met with the Soviet and Cuban officials. It was a complete setup from the beginning. They've been lying to you for 60 years. The truth is coming out. The files are unsealed. All of these extremely powerful people that could control the media relatively easy throughout time never expected the internet.
I mean, that's definitely a fact. When all this stuff was going down, you never expected back then for the internet to come out, something that is so widely used and full of so much really endless information, resources, proof that would just make it hard to, keep covering your ass on things. Because you figure like so many serial killers could get away with it back then. They couldn't get away with it now. That's why you don't really hear about them anymore, right? Because the forensics and DNA and all this like very advanced testing, that would make it very difficult for someone to get away from that or get away with doing something so heinous, let alone multiple times without getting caught. So you figure, as far as covering their butts on something like this, they were really only having to think about how to cover it with what was available then and maybe what was possibly available as far as technological advancements in the next, decade or so. But I don't think anybody realized how quickly technology would, just continuously advance like year after year. So it's getting a lot harder to get away with stuff. So I say just be a good person. Tell the truth whenever you can. It's really hard to get away with stuff nowadays, especially if you're lying to the entire world. Someone's going to find out. Right? Is it even worth the effort?
That the assassin was the driver in the car in which he was riding in Dallas on that day, and it was plainly visible in a film withheld from the public.
Now, you brought that film with you. Let's take a look at that if we can. Here's the film. Go ahead and narrate this for us, will you?
Well, it took me 16 years to find this film because it has really been withheld. And what you're seeing here is the motorcade on Elm Street passing in front of the book depository building. Kennedy has been shot in the throat, and Jacqueline is pulling him toward her, trying to comfort him, and she's in shock. At this time, you see the driver turn around with a pistol in his left hand, firing over his right shoulder, and shoots the president directly in the head.
Here's a repeat of it, yeah.
The weapon, watch the driver, his name is William Greer. He was, in fact, a Secret Service agent. The weapon is an electrically operated, gas-powered assassination pistol built especially for the Central Intelligence Agency.
You don't see any puff of smoke from...
That's correct. Because
what you think is a pistol there in the right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner.
That's correct.
Why is that?
Well, it's an air-operated pistol. It's pneumatic. and it actually fired an exploding pellet which injected shellfish toxin into the president's brain, so that if the actual explosion of the pellet itself did not kill him, the toxin would.
Now, did you read all of this
Yes.
in the documents?
Yes, and that's why his brain was switched for another brain in transit between Parkland Hospital in Dallas and Bethesda Naval Hospital in Washington, D.C. That the assassin was...
Fish toxins to make sure it ended the job? Man, that is some diabolical stuff right there. That is, Jesus, man. People are brutal. Humanity is brutal. Politics? No, thank you. If someone were to ask me if I wanted to be president or if I had aspirations to ever be president, absolutely not. I mean, no, like, let alone look at me. President? Come on. Come on. I'm handsome, but not that handsome. But no, I wouldn't want that responsibility because JFK was actually trying to do good things. He was trying to avoid conflict. And because of that, people were losing out on money. People were missing out on power. And it caught up with him, unfortunately. There were other people that were willing to do what he wasn't. And because of that, there are people that were willing to get him out of the way so that person could step in and actually do it.
They love to say JFK stood for peace, but peace doesn't get you killed in broad daylight. What he really stood for? Interruption. He challenged the CIA, tried to pull us out of Vietnam, threatened the power of the Federal Reserve, and told the American people to beware of secrecy and shadow control. That's not peace. That's pulling the plug on the whole machine. And just as he started making moves, they erased him. What if he had lived? Would we have avoided war? Would the system have collapsed, or finally changed? Or was one man with too much charm and too much truth simply too dangerous to keep alive?
I don't know what you think, but that sounds a little bit familiar to me right now. Trying to, get someone out that's trying to disrupt the system that's been in place for so long. You feel how you want about whatever candidates out there, left, right, whatever. The fact is, anytime anyone comes in and tries to do things differently from what the machine or the shadow government, the cabal, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, have been putting into place for so long, like, you're gonna piss some people off. You're gonna ruffle some feathers, and you're gonna make a lot of people who are making a lot of money really angry.
Israel's nuclear program and JFK's opposition. Unredacted documents from 2025 include references to JFK's efforts to curb Israel's nuclear ambitions, particularly concerning the Dimona reactor. A notable example is a previously redacted CIA request to withhold mentions of Israel in relation to its nuclear program. Now fully disclosed, this reflects Kennedy's pressure on Israel's Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, which conspiracy theorists argued for years could have motivated Israel's involvement. However, no unredacted file explicitly ties this disagreement to the assassination itself, just a policy friction between the two. General mentions of Israel in intelligence operations. The files review broader Cold War era intelligence collaborations between the CIA and Israel services such as Mossad's assistance in operation against Fidel Castro's Cuba. No unredacted sections directly implicate Mossad in planning or executing JFK's death. Clearly, no one's saying that. It doesn't prove any of those things. The only thing these redacted files show us is that there was some weird communications going on with some Mossad agents and folks from Israel. This is all important stuff. As American citizens, we should all know and understand the best we can.
I feel the same way. Even if it's something that I'm not going to like hearing, I still want to know if it's happening. Heavy truths usually carry the most importance. So we should always be striving to find out more about things that we're passionate about, good and bad, in order to be more knowledgeable, to enlighten ourselves, to make logical decisions instead of emotional ones based on any topics. It's called being a grown-up, being an adult, being mature. So a lot of people lack nowadays.
Freedom has many difficulties, and democracy is not perfect. But we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I pledge you that we shall neither commit nor provoke aggression, that we shall neither flee nor invoke the threat of force. Ich bin ein Berliner. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Not merely peace in our time, for peace in all time. We are confronted primarily with a moral issue. It is as old as the scriptures and is as clear as the American Constitution. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
Man, what a guy. What a handsome, charismatic man. I would have liked to have been alive during the time where he was running and giving his speeches and just really turning the country in a positive direction as far as like unifying people, and at least that's what it seems like. So I'm only 39 years old, so I wasn't around for all that, but from what I hear, he was a good man. He was a good man. It would have been nice to been around during his whole rise in public appearances and all that stuff. If you were around during that time, let me know how it was. Let me know what your take was down in the comments on all of this. And, how'd you feel about JFK? How do you feel about the unfortunate, assassination of him? Like, what do you think happened? Let me know down in the comments. Again, I am Lucid Rob. If you like what you see, stick around for the next video coming out. We're going to be diving more into other weird subjects and try to get down to the bottom of them. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below what you would like to see in the next video. Until next time, peace.